I live in a quiet suburb where people mostly keep to themselves except for Karen. Every neighborhood has one, right? Perfectly manicured lawn, three different flags on her porch, and a nose that twitches like a rabbit's whenever something slightly out of place happens. And of course, she's on the HOA board. Naturally, we've had minor run-ins before. Once, she left a note on my trash bin saying it was 2 inches off the limit. Another time, she knocked on my door because my wind chimes were too melodic. But nothing prepared me for what happened last Friday. I came home from work, and my garage door wouldn't open. I figured it was the remote batteries, but when I tried opening it manually, nothing. So I walked around the house, went in through the front, and opened the interior door that led to the garage. And there she was, Karen's SUV, parked in my garage. For a full 5 seconds, I just stared at it like my brain refused to accept reality. The license plate with the HOA 4 EVR frame confirmed it. Not just any SUV, Karen's SUV. I stormed over to her house next door and rang the doorbell like a man on a mission. Karen opened the door with that smug half-smile she always wears, the kind you only earn after years of passive aggressiveness and sipping lukewarm tea. "Oh, hello," she chirped. "I saw your garage was open earlier today, and since my driveway was being pressure washed, I figured, why not just park in there for a few hours?" "A few hours?" I asked. "It's been there all day." "Well, your driveway was empty. And the HOA guidelines do suggest neighbors should help each other out." I blinked. "Karen, that's not what that means." She rolled her eyes. "You're making this such a big deal." "It's just a garage." I walked away mid-sentence, not because I gave up, because an idea struck me like divine inspiration. The interior garage door had a lock, and I had the key. 10 minutes later, her SUV was trapped inside my locked garage. I packed my bags, grabbed my dog, tossed some essentials into my car, and left. For a week. I didn't answer her calls. I didn't respond to her texts that escalated from "this isn't funny" to "I'll report you to the HOA" to "I'm calling the police." I didn't care. I was sipping margaritas at a cabin 3 hours away, enjoying the peace of being Karen-free. And oh, the voicemail she left on day 3? Chef's kiss. By day 2, my phone had more notifications than a teenager's TikTok account. Missed calls, voicemails, texts, even a few emails with subject lines like "urgent HOA violation" and "you will regret this." Karen was spiraling. But I was vibing. I sat in a rocking chair on the porch of the cabin I'd rented, watching deer cross a dirt path like I hadn't just imprisoned a suburban warlord's vehicle in my garage. The air was peaceful. No HOA nonsense. No passive-aggressive notes. Just me, nature, and the distant sound of Karen losing her mind. By day 3, my neighbor Jason texted me a photo. It was Karen, in my driveway, screaming at the garage door like it owed her money. She had a clipboard in one hand and what looked like a walkie-talkie in the other, like she was trying to rally troops. According to Jason, she'd been pacing outside for hours, threatening to tow her own car out of my garage. Small problem, she didn't have the keys. Her husband had taken them on a fishing trip that weekend. That SUV had keyless entry, but no key meant no movement. And I had the only garage door opener. Oh, and she'd already tried getting a locksmith. Jason overheard the conversation from his backyard. Apparently, she told the guy I'd stolen her car and locked it inside. When he asked for proof of ownership, she pointed at the garage door like it was evidence. He laughed, got back in his van, and drove off. By day 4, she escalated to full-on police involvement. 2 patrol cars showed up. Jason kept me updated like a war correspondent. Karen just pointed at your house and started sobbing. Cop number 1 looks confused. Cop number 2 is writing something down. Oh man, they're checking her license. They knocked on my door. No answer, obviously. I was 3 hours away playing Monopoly with a beer in one hand and a slice of pizza in the other. According to Jason, the officers left without doing much, probably because Karen had, trespassed and left her car in someone else's locked garage. At this point, HOA Karen was getting desperate. She left a note taped to my front door. Jason snagged it and texted me a photo. It read, "You have until Monday to return my vehicle or I'll file a formal complaint and take legal action." Written in red marker. All caps. And bless her heart, she signed it Karen M., HOA Enforcement Chairwoman. By day 5, the neighborhood group chat was popping off. Someone posted a blurry photo of Karen sitting cross-legged on my front lawn, doing what looked like yoga or maybe a spiritual banishment ritual. I lost it when someone commented, "She's trying to summon the garage demon to release her car." Meanwhile, I sipped hot cocoa in a mountain hot tub. By the time I packed up and headed home on day 7, the anticipation was killing me. I rolled up, clicked the garage door opener, and yep, her SUV was still sitting there like a big metal hostage. Time for the final act. I pulled into my driveway, windows down, music playing, pure drama. Karen was already waiting on her porch, arms crossed so tight it looked like she was trying to keep her rage from escaping her body. The second she saw me, she practically teleported across her lawn, stopping toward me in full HOA Terminator mode. "You think this is funny?" she barked. "I killed the engine." "Actually?" "Yeah, hilarious." She waved her arms like she was landing a plane. "You locked up my car. For a week. I had places to be. I missed a committee brunch." I looked her dead in the eyes. "You parked in my garage without permission. That's trespassing. You should be thanking me for keeping it safe." That broke her. She started ranting so fast the HOA buzzwords started bleeding together. Asterisk, code violation, property rights, community standards, civil infraction, asterisk, like a furious Karen remix. But I had a trump card. I pulled out my phone and tapped open my security app. "Let me show you something," I said, turning the screen toward her. On it, footage. Crystal clear video of her driving into my garage, looking around like she was trying to steal the Declaration of Independence, and then walking out like she owned the place. She gasped, "You had a camera?" "Of course I have a camera. It's 2025. What did you think? I use carrier pigeons for home security." She flinched but tried to regain control. "You're not allowed to record people without consent." I smiled. "Not true. It's my property. And you weren't invited. Which means I've got evidence of unauthorized entry and vehicle placement." Trespassing." That hit her like a sack of organic kale. "You wouldn't," she whispered. "Oh, I would," I said cheerfully. "But lucky for you, I've decided not to press charges. If you leave, right now, and never pull this stunt again." She stared at me like she was calculating how many HOA bylaws she could weaponize in the next 60 seconds. But then her eyes dropped. She knew she lost. Badly. I walked to the garage, unlocked the door, and hit the opener. Her SUV looked just as smug as she did when she first parked it. She shuffled past me, climbed into the car, and pulled out like she was fleeing a crime scene, which, technically, she kinda was. And as she drove off, I called after her. "Oh, by the way, next time you want to park somewhere, try your own house." She didn't respond, but I swear I saw her hands tighten on the steering wheel like she was about to crack it in half. I thought that would be the end of it. Reasonable people would have backed off after being publicly embarrassed and caught red-handed on camera. But this is Karen we're talking about. 2 days after her dramatic retreat, a bright yellow HOA violation notice showed up taped to my front door, complete with a glittery sticker of the HOA logo. The letter was 3 pages long, written like a medieval proclamation, and listed out the following infractions: failure to cooperate with neighborly parking emergencies, unauthorized detainment of a resident's vehicle, excessive use of sarcasm toward an HOA board member, unregistered garage surveillance system, possession of disruptive yard decor. At the bottom, it demanded I attend an emergency HOA disciplinary hearing hosted in her living room. That's right. Karen tried to hold a trial in her own house. I nearly choked laughing. But you know what? I RSVP'd. Because sometimes revenge is best served in person, with snacks. When I arrived, the place looked like a courtroom on Pinterest steroids. Karen had rearranged her living room furniture to form a tribunal, with 3 HOA board members seated behind a folding table, each with clipboards and lemon water. A hand-drawn sign read, HOA Accountability Tribunal. Please have a seat, she said, in a voice so smug it could butter toast. I sat down. Should I raise my right hand or just swear under my breath? She glared. This is a serious matter. The next 30 minutes were a train wreck in slow motion. Karen read each accusation aloud like she was auditioning for a legal drama. The board members nodded along until she got to unauthorized detainment. That's when I casually slid a USB drive across the table. What's this? She snapped. Video footage. From the security system you claim is unregistered. It shows you entering my garage without permission and parking your vehicle. There's also audio of you admitting it during our conversation afterward. Oh, and I forwarded the same footage to my lawyer. One of the board members raised his eyebrows. Another one actually smirked. Karen turned red, like tomato sauce left in the sun red. This hearing is over, she muttered, snatching the USB and storming into the kitchen. The other 2 board members stood up, thanked me, and one of them whispered, honestly? That was iconic. I left with my head high and a Tupperware of lemon bars someone's husband made for court snacks. But Karen wasn't done. Oh no. The next day, she posted on the neighborhood app. Some residents are creating a hostile environment and disrespecting the sacred nature of the HOA guidelines. It is a dark day when justice is mocked. That post got exactly 2 likes. One from her. One from an account named Karen Supporter 123 that she definitely made herself. And then? She tried to file a formal complaint with the city. Against me. Bad move, Karen. Because remember that footage I had? That's not all I was sitting on. So, Karen filed a complaint with the city. Claimed I was operating an illegal surveillance operation and holding vehicles hostage for personal amusement. Which, okay, maybe that last part was a little true, but still. A city inspector actually came by. Super chill guy named Marcos. We had coffee on my porch while I walked him through the whole saga. I showed him the footage, explained the garage lock situation, and even gave him a printout of Karen's glittery HOA summons. He actually laughed so hard he snorted. This is gold, he said. She really said, detainment, like you're running a secret prison. Here's where the universe did me a solid. Turns out, Marcos was already familiar with Karen. Apparently, she'd filed multiple false complaints with the city, everything from suspicious lawn gnome activity to unauthorized lemonade stand by minor residents. She was on their radar as a serial complainer. But then Marcos spotted something interesting. He pointed at my security footage paused on a frame showing Karen's SUV fully inside my garage with the door open. That, he said, might be a violation on her part. Apparently, our HOA had strict regulations against using another person's property without permission, and even stricter rules about unpermitted vehicle storage, especially inside a residential structure not zoned for public use. So guess what? Karen violated her own rules. And that was just the start. I filed a counter-complaint with the HOA's parent oversight board. See, turns out Karen had skipped a few steps when elevating herself to chairwoman last year. Like the actual election, she just started calling herself the chair, and no one really questioned it because she was loud and terrifying. But someone finally did. Me. I submitted the footage, the HOA charter, and the unprocessed election paperwork. A week later, I got the email. Karen M. has been suspended from all HOA leadership responsibilities pending further review. An emergency election will be held. Q. Neighborhood party. We didn't even wait. Someone started a group chat called by Karen, and within hours, there were balloons on mailboxes, lawn chairs out front, and coolers full of celebratory beverages. Karen stayed inside all day, blinds drawn like she was under house arrest. A kid rode by on a bike yelling, "Free the garage," and the whole street cracked up. Oh, and the cherry on top? A week later, a for sale sign popped up on Karen's lawn. She's moving. Word is, she's heading to another HOA neighborhood. I pray for their souls, but at least we're free. And me? I installed 2 more cameras, a steel-reinforced garage door, and a new sign out front that says, "Private property. Trespassers will be locked in." You never know who's going to roll up in your garage uninvited. But when they do, make sure the popcorn's ready.